Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Nëïgsëndöïg Cöcülës show. My name is Cöcülës, the namesake for this here podcast. Before I get started this week, this is a shorter episode as I've run out of ideas thus far. My apologies about that. Recently, however, things have been somewhat smooth as I keep working on this project and others for the content creation side of things. Now, at the moment, I'm not using artificial intelligence to do things like in the old school days, and I'd rather stay old school. However, as a tech-savvy guy who's also wanting to give as little data to big tech firms as possible, I understand that I will eventually need to incorporate AI into some of my work, but make it 90 to 95% human touch. Gaming isn't affected by this AI takeover, nor are a couple other genres of content creation. Eventually, gaming might get replaced, seeing as Activision, for example, is working with Stanford to essentially use everyone's Call of Duty accounts to play as an AI bot to fill lobbies. That's totally not an AI takeover of gaming, isn't it? Sarcasm aside, I'll be covering some things on how one can prepare for this AI takeover, as I am also preparing for it. It's taking me some time to learn a good chunk of these aspects into AI and how to make money using it, since a lot of tech we have right now is becoming obsolete fast. Remember in the previous main episode, excluding my podcast 2.0 exclusive, when I talked about software one can use for doing things with AI and building with it? I found more software to help with this. And yes, I was taking notes using Standard Notes, my note-taking application of choice. However, my songs, as I explained before, are written using Notesnook, which does similar things to Standard. Now, for the software I found, there's a bit to cover here, so I'll try to make this quick. For one of these, one can do a voice agent specialist role, potentially using things like Dial Contact Center Suite, which seems to be the only open source alternative to bland AI as of right now. Maybe I could find something else other than Dial. For Zapier ecosystem specialization, your best bet is potentially Active Pieces, as I had discussed, though I still hadn't looked into it as of yet. Chatbot specialization is using VoiceFlow, but alternatives include Hexabot or BotPress, which can also be included for voice agent shenanigans too if that's supported. For AI automation, that's Active Pieces, which is needed for those purposes if you want an open source alternative. For text-based specialists, I'm not too sure about that as of right now, but the proprietary option is ChatGPT or Relevance. ChatGPT, well, I vehemently refuse to use. Maybe Relevance. ChatGPT is cap and has no respect for privacy. It's an AI only in Ohio, and I wouldn't touch this California-based foundation with a 3-meter pole. For non-zoomers out there, ChatGPT is absolutely a no-go. In my opinion, when it comes to this type of stuff, if done right, it's the best thing that mankind could potentially utilize. However, centralizing it is not the way to go. I've always advocated for decentralizing everything since starting my privacy journey. And if we can do that, we can free ourselves from trouble in the future. If we don't, trouble's coming for us quick. I'm preparing for that, albeit slowly. so I could eventually use AI to make money in ethical ways. Heck, using Floss to do it is even better, knowing the code would be audited by those outside of development easily. That said, I've tried my hands on some other things that are not your usual AI shenanigans, so let me shift gears to that. Most of the stuff I use doesn't incorporate AI, which I like as an old school kind of guy born in the early aughts. Now, since AI is being incorporated everywhere, I might as well learn some of the AI tech before I apply it to my own work. First, for free, but if I do this right, I'll make bank on it. I probably won't need Stargate for that, as Stargate is something different entirely, something I wouldn't want to participate in. That's neither here nor there, though. Switching gears to the music side of things, I'm currently redoing the mixing for Toho Igosaken, The Failure of Witchcraft, and my self-titled EP. The reason for this is because I plan on releasing them as a singular album of 21 songs coming this spring. This collection of music is to be called Bossa Toho and is releasing on March 23rd of 2025. If I do this right, this will eventually be the version that gets onto the game OS for anybody to eventually map. For context, I contacted the feature artist team to see how this would work for an independent artist such as myself. And we talked a bit about this process. I had done some thinking, and I decided that this will be the album I'll release for easy access to the OS guys, though I'll probably end up doing a good quality OGG Vorpis file for each of the songs, since I like using OGG Vorpis. I'll probably send them the entire album and everything they need using Send, which is essentially Mozilla's open source WeTransfer type application from what I researched on this matter. I might have to do a couple things using AI, but if that's a necessary evil, then so be it. Personally speaking, I had found some new plugins that I am now using for my work instead of my usual, which don't work anymore for some cases, like CAF and EQ10Q due to GTK requirements. Despite that, I'm now able to use the likes of ZL Equalizer, which is an open source Pro Q3 type deal, AD Clip 8 by Air Windows, Origin by Cymatics for some pieces, specifically lo-fi, and even the DSK SF2 version 2 plugin, since Ace Fluid Synth is treating me like garbage at the moment. Eventually, I'll figure something out with Ace. Well, now I'm going to bring things over to a different episode being posted exclusively on Wavelake tomorrow and Podcast 2.0. It's actually a continuation of what I did in the last Podcast 2.0 episode, but in a much more detailed way on my personality according to these aspects that will be discussed there. Despite that, I'll be releasing each main episode every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific Time. You can listen to this podcast on YouTube and any Podcast 2.0 catcher. Does your catcher not support Podcast 2.0? Just copy the RSS feed linked below into your catcher and you'll be able to listen to me almost anywhere. That being said, I am out of time for today's episode. Thank you, and good night.